Cindy, the recording is started, so you can begin when you're ready.
Okay. Well, hi, everyone, and welcome, and thank you for joining us today. This is the second session in our Mainframe Performance Management Tech Talk series. And this is a series of sessions that we want to help you get the most out of your mainframe software investment in the performance space. And so if you missed our session last week, we did an overview on SysView, an update on what we have going on in that environment, and it's available on demand if you weren't able to see that. So we'll move forward now. I'm going to turn things over to J.D. Bagnall, our Product Management Senior Director for our Mainframe Performance Portfolio, and he's going to be talking to you about some new and exciting things in the area of analytics.
Thank you, Cindy. Hi, everybody. Good morning, good evening, depending where you may be located. But thanks for your time. Again, as Cindy stated, I'm going to kind of review some of the things that we're doing with our performance portfolio and how we're kind of moving it forward and really looking at the problems and issues that you guys are experiencing on a daily basis and how we can actually assist you in becoming more independent in decision-making, but also more automated in some of the actions and decisions that the systems are making for you. So one thing we're going to be talking about today as we move forward, and we talk about analytics, and I'm trying to find my mouse here for a second. We're going to be talking about some different things here, but really just talking about business analytics. You know, people really want to talk about what is analytics. Analytics is such a broad term. It's kind of saying like, I used to use, when you use a smartphone, a lot of people just say iPhone, even though they may not have an iPhone. Xerox is the same type of thing. But there are different types of analytics. And it's really looking at the different types that have started, where we are today, and kind of where things are going. And, you know, really understanding what data is telling you. What is the data that is being developed and captured by our solutions, and how is it actually, what is it actually telling us in a more automated way, so I'm not having to make manual decisions, take a lot of information, do manual correlations, and really look at that and make a decision. We need to be able to determine how we can actually assist you in doing that. So we had statistical analysis in the past. Mix was a good product associated with that from CA. It has been used for a lot of years with our customers, continues to be used today. Really allows you to be able to pull that information, dice, slice, and really pull up reporting and make decisions based upon that. And we have very active customers that are using that technology today and really looking at how their efficiencies over time. Then is really looking at that big data. You guys have heard big data over the last couple of years. IBM's been touting that, and it goes beyond just the mainframe, of course. It goes into mining data across environments and really understanding those type of the information that's there. A prime example of that I always find quite humorous was a target customer, a male target customer had received some information based on his buying patterns that he started receiving things that were for new children, newborns. And he wrote a letter to the president and CEO of Target and was specifically stating that, you know, I'm not sure I understand why you're sending me this information, it's inappropriate, and really just reprimanding them for that type of information and why they were sending him those type of mailings. He then wrote a retraction letter about 3 weeks later when he found out that his daughter was actually pregnant and had been purchasing different things for the newborn that he wasn't aware was occurring at that point in time. And that was based on data that had been mined from the buying patterns from that household. So big data is really looking at data and seeing how we can actually get information out of it and make decisions. And Target was making decisions, and they were doing their marketing based on some of those decisions, and it came out to be somewhat accurate. And then we really get into where we're starting to lean is, you know, how do we utilize this information and just make our systems more capable of decision-making based on data information that was provided, but also by interaction with our users and the things that they're doing in the system to address issues, look at information, and how we can actually capture that and actually bring it forward to make your job an efficient use of time, but also making sure your systems and the investments you're making in your systems are efficiently used and are providing you the best ROI. So, analytics and in the mainframe, we always talk about how much the corporate information is actually available and stored on the mainframe around the world. We understand the basis of the investment that you as your organizations have made in the platform, but we also understand that workload is increasing. Mobile utilization has increased the transaction throughput on most mainframes dramatically. We're talking one mobile request driving 15 mainframe transactions. If you're looking at some type of banking application, that's a significant amount of access if you're looking at the number of people that are accessing the system simultaneously. But we're also just looking at, what are the things that our customers are actually looking for that are most important to them. Anomaly detection is one of the first things we'll talk about today, is what are things that are telling me are a problem. Is it really a problem, or is it a false record of something that occurs and I just ignore because it occurs all the time? Is that an efficient use of the system? Is that an efficient use of the information? How can we actually use that information more in our direction? We also look at business service management, looking at applications and really understanding how an application is faring and what may be affecting the application throughput, the SLA to the end user. But anything that affects a specific business service potentially can affect dollars directly based on system unavailability or unavailability, or just the capability of an application being down. And really driving to understand that next level of the things that we battle on a continuous basis in the world we live in is around security. Understanding how infrastructure, interaction, potentially like a network solution, getting an inordinate amount of activity on a specific port and working with the security solution inside of the environment in an automated fashion to determine if that's a security problem or if it's actually just true throughput that's occurring in the system. But really taking all of that information and really starting to bring it back to a expert system that actually learns and specifically takes the data and starts to be able to make decisions for you based on interaction you've had with the system, but also the data that the system is actually that the system is actually ingesting. So the one thing that we actually are looking at really is just the things that we get feedback from our customers, and really how do we use that information to make our systems intelligent, to be able to do the things that really is a real-time system that allows me to actually have my system running the most efficient way it can. And that really goes back to the type of things that our customers are looking for to really address. MTTR is, the resolution basis of that is really in a critical situation, ensuring that I get that system back up and running or prevent that system from going down quickly. And it really shows us the importance of those items, through this analysis that we've done, and where we've kind of focused on some of the things we're doing and starting to build those building blocks to move in that direction of being able to prescribe direction for you, how you did something in the past so that you can just say, do that again, or have someone that is filling in for a subject matter expert that is maybe not as familiar with the system, have direction on how to remediate issues in the future based on interaction that previous SMEs have provided them. So really what we're talking about is really going from the left hand, looking at the expert tools, things like the 3278 that is still going to be there and still be used by many, but really moving to that ability to actually look at and provide additional information to those people using the tools that allows them to make quicker decisions and allows them to understand how they did things in the past and really understand if something is truly a problem or if it's a cyclical issue that is discovered by the system that occurs on a regular basis, and really start to then take that to the next step of predicting how performance is going to occur sooner in the span of seeing things start to loop out of normality, and really try to have the system use its intelligence to be able to address that where we eventually get to building that automated solution that allows you to actually bring things in an automated fashion and allows you to move things upstream and allows you or someone to actually focus on things that may be more important or more focused on a different part of the infrastructure. Was there a question? So the solutions we're working on, the one you're going to focus on today really is around the system performance in SysView. We're adding capabilities to SysView that I'm going to review here in a second that you as a SysView customer who is licensed for SysView will have available to you as part of that license. We'll be moving this forward. We're in a POC environment right now. We'll be going GA with our initial capabilities around anomaly detection, which is the first things I'm going to actually be showing you. So our first step in that is really left to right here is the modernization and anomaly detection. Being able to create dashboards on demand, be able to do actions from a browser-based environment allows you to not necessarily have to remember all the commands, facilitates other people to be more productive in the environment and support the subject matter expert, but also be able to move things upstream so that people can actually make decisions, whether it's in a development part of the organization or in an operations part of the organization. And really just provide it in a way that allows you to deploy it in less costly or the least costly fashion that still provides the most value as well as the most productivity. We'll be then looking at business services. We'll talk about that today as the next step after we get through the anomaly detection discussion. And then really that leads up to the expert systems as we move these things forward and truly understanding and capturing interaction with our users of how we actually start to create things in an automated fashion so that decisions are made on the fly without requiring someone to correlate the information on a consistent basis. So it's really that evolution of the tools into an expert system. You guys have probably seen this screen before in some of the presentations that I've done, but it's really going from that environment into something that's giving you dynamic feedback for decision making. The 3270 interfaces are not going away. Don't anybody get upset about that. But if we can complement and supplement them with additional information that allows you to make decisions much quicker, it actually allows you to utilize any tool a lot faster and more efficiently. That's a replicated slide. So a lot of this has gone around our personas. The team persona really is focusing on the collaboration amongst the organization all the way from the operations element, Pete, through our performance analysts into the system engineers who really are diving deep into the environment and really understanding how they need to collaborate and truly understand what are false positive alerts potentially that are occurring, where should our focus be initially based on the intelligence that's being pushed back to us or being presented to us, excuse me, so that we can make that collaboration much easier, but also move things that may be more rudimentary further upstream so that the operations department can be making decisions on things that are of nuisance, but not necessarily of significant problem that may cause that they actually remit some type of action. So we're actually looking at that and how these teams collaborate. Some of this is based on our modern UI, which we kind of reviewed last week. We'll be also reviewing that in 2 weeks on the next Tech Talk on the 13th of July. But really we're focused on the use cases around some of the things with analytics. And really the first one really is around anomaly detection. It kind of reaches across all of the personas in that team and really understanding where things are false positives and removing those false positives, and then, you know, really allowing me to understand and utilize the information that's being presented to me quickly so that I can remediate any issues and ensure that my system continues to run efficiently. The first thing we're actually looking at here is the interface around that, detecting those anomalies, presenting those anomalies, and ensuring that we are creating as high availability system as possible in doing that. And the way we're doing that is actually pulling data into a repository and doing the analysis of history to really start to look at how data has been occurring in the past so that we can do comparison of things that are happening in the current state. A prime example of that is the use case that I'm showing here on our analysis page, that a new application was introduced into an environment on the weekend. It was done on a Saturday. And what occurred shortly thereafter in relation to the way things are done today in relation to the way things are going to be done as we introduce this technology here in the second half of 2016 is dramatically different and actually allows me to actually see things sooner and earlier in the stream. In this instance, the application was introduced on Monday. What we're looking at here really is the black line is the true data, things that are occurring. The red dotted line is the static threshold that was defined in SysView. The green line is really our normal trend. And what we're actually doing is as we're analyzing the data, we're predicting what the trend should be based on things that have occurred in the past and things that are occurring. And in this instance, we can start to create alerts earlier in the stream. What I mean by that is if you look at the red here, essentially what we were seeing is that once that application was actually introduced into the environment, things started to steadily go out of normality around Sunday morning, this is showing me, which at that point I can create an alert at that point in time that allows me to address any issue and take a look at things around that application. Where if I would have waited and actually used a static threshold, which a lot of people have used today, that alert actually did not occur until sometime in Monday. So what we're showing is actually with this dynamic feedback, we have the ability to potentially see things earlier in the process and be able to remediate before they actually become a true critical issue. The way we do that is we do use Western Electric rules. Essentially, the patterns that you see here are greens, are how the different data points as we receive them and where they fall. You know, if we're actually in the first one where a single data falls outside of the third percentile, we, you know, have rules that are associated with how alerts are created there and how the more that fall outside of those specific percentile bands is more critical that is actually an alert occurring. I could spend an entire, actually our analytics gentleman, Homer Wolf, could spend an entire hour talking with you. We do have a default presentation where we go into this in very much more detail than I can today in the next 12 minutes that we have on this presentation. So if you're interested in that, please reach out to us. But the whole basis is on, as we're looking at information, we're looking at it over time, we're comparing it and starting to look and see how it falls outside of the normal range that we're predicting and the data that we've been actually pulling in. So we can actually start to create alerts. In this specifically view, you can see where the orange and red and the yellow at the bottom where specific alerts were initiated, some of them being just level 3 alerts, nothing of significance, and you can determine which ones that you actually want to be shown to you in the learning system and the alerts screen itself, but it gives you the capability to actually see how that information is actually presented. As we take that, it brings it into an interface that allows us to actually dive deeper. In this instance, I'm looking at a specific alert that occurred, the second one down, around page rates, and that is the alert that I'm seeing here, how it maps into the green highway, and where specific alerts were triggered based on things. In this instance, it was it was an anomaly because it dropped below a certain line. That gives me the capability to actually dive into that. So the vision we're seeing here is the ability to generate that alert. So I didn't have to go in and define a threshold. The system understood based on things that have been occurring in the system of what was normal and what was not. And if for some reason the first implementation of the system, we actually have the capability to actually go back and pull or tell you which data needs to start to be captured before your implementation. So when you do install this, that there's already pre-populated information or pre-populated history that allows you to start using as a basis for the go forward. So at this point in time, I can look at the bottom graph, seeing across a certain amount of time that looks like a month's amount of time. I can dive deeper and actually see specific alerts inside of my green highway and where they occurred. These are the round circles that you see there. We can then dive deeper into each alert, and each alert actually, as it pops up, will tell you the type of alert it is, what severity it may be. Maybe you only want to look at the high severity, but it then gives you the specific metric that's causing the problem and some description of type and message that's associated with that. And you have the ability to look at these alerts over time, whatever that time may be, minutes, days, weeks, months. You can actually look at the graphical presentation as you saw on the previous screen as well. So it just gives you that capability as we're pulling that data is to actually be able to look at that information. Example here, we can do the past 5 metrics that we took a look at. We can graph them. You can see we have a different presentation here, being able to go back in time and look at what was occurring on the system at any point of the data we're collecting, so we can actually see and dive in deeper into those specific issues and go back and remediate them. We have the capability to get to those metrics in a different way. We're doing analytics in the background. The data is there. We have a navigation capability within the historical analysis interface that allows you to easily navigate down to a specific set of metrics that, or a specific metric that you may want to see in a specific system to actually be able to see that type of information. So the basis here really is to provide you a quick anomaly detection within the SysView user experience. So as you're actually using SysView, the system is starting to give you dynamic feedback on what it is seeing from the data and really trying to understand what that information is and how those things correlate together. So if certain elements are occurring simultaneously, 2 pieces of data are triggering an alert and it's a consistent, we can then start to see that type of correlation and be able to make decisions based on that. And then the next step would be, after this, would be then to take those and create automation that when this occurs and this occurs, do this. So that kind of leads into the next step. So the things that you've seen here, the anomaly detection, are things that we're in the process of doing a POC. We have a hosted environment that you can actually get on and play with, working through us. We have the capability for you to actually install it on premise. And we would need to have some discussion with you around that, but have the capability to actually do this and give us valid feedback now in the process. And we encourage as many people to assist us in that. We are looking to go GA with this product in the November timeframe, so between now and then we'll be making any adjustments and bringing in more data into the environment as we move this forward. The next phase of this, after we get the anomaly detection, is really starting to look at business services and really looking to understand how an application is faring, or how that business service is faring, and really trying to get that unified look. And this kind of reaches out across to our brethren on the enterprise side of our organization around APM, where we can give you that mainframe vision, but it really ties into the APM environment in the end to allow a collaborative view across the organization from the initiation of a transaction that may occur on a browser somewhere that can be then tracked. And if the issue is in the mainframe, that gives us the capability to see what is affecting that application, how it's affecting it, put dollars to that specific problem, remediate that problem, and really move forward to actually make sure that business service is available as much as possible. And that kind of leads into some things that we're doing around seeing dashboards at that business service level, but allowing us to dive deeper into the analytics presentation of Anomaly, but also into a topology interaction that allows me to use alerts as well as analytics to provide direction of where something in the environment may be the main factor. So really looking at the top level here is the dashboards that are specific to a business process, giving me health of whatever that business process is. But if there is one that's causing a problem, I now have the capability to dive deeper and to remediate that. Many monitoring solutions in the past do monitoring. We do the monitoring, the embedded analytics for dynamic feedback and intelligence to you as the user, but also we do the capability to remediate. So as we dive deeper into our environment is then being able to see a dynamically generated topology of a specific environment. In this instance, it's a storage environment that allows me to quickly mine and look at the data where the offending object might be of that specific infrastructure. In this instance, is a DASD issue in the lower right-hand side. But graphically present to you inside of those objects some type of information that's occurring. The things on the right really that are red, showing up, showing down, are the alerts. You know, what's happening here? I have 2 out of the, if you look at the DASD 453, I have my glasses on, I think that says E. On the lower right-hand side, that tells me that 2 of 6 alerts that I have are critical and they're trending to go. There may be more that are getting ready to kick off. That in conjunction with the blue area on the left-hand side is telling me what the system is observing from a analysis perspective of whether it's in normal area or if it's starting to trend outside of that area. So it just gives me a visual of that specific tree, and that tree is defined as a perspective for you where you can define what perspectives you want to look at. You can look at them at an infrastructure level. You can look at them at an application level. We have the capability to zoom out, zoom in, so you're not consuming so much data in a small area. But really to be able to get down to that lowest set of objects and see visually what's causing the most problems, and this time you can see activity rate and response time, be able to then you know, right-click or something to that effect in this object and then remediate the issue quickly is, you know, paramount to what we're trying to accomplish in ensuring that the system is up and running efficiently. We then get to that next phase, which is really phase 3, you know, resolution, guidance, and assisted triage. As we're gathering that information, we'd like to hear feedback on this too. As we're gathering information, getting feedback from our subject matter experts, we then get into the capability to prescriptive feedback, where we're actually telling you the type of things that you should be doing or you have done in the past and would you like to replicate, i.e. an event occurs, an alert occurs, I have the capability then to say, hey, this is what you did the last time when this set of things happened. Do you want to do that, yes or no? Select, and the system goes off and does it. I don't have to enter commands. I have those commands recorded and I have the capability to pass that on. This also gives new users the capability to be productive based on subject matter expert input from the past, and really allows those guys to be a little bit more self-sufficient earlier in the game. The second part of that is then being able to take that prescriptive and turn it into automation, and working with our underlying automation tools that give you the capability to record those, recommend them as a resolution, and then also ask the question, you've done this now 5 times in a row, do you just want to automate this process? Select the button that says automate, and the next time that occurs, the system is automatically in addressing the issue behind the scenes without requiring any type of interaction with the user. So that's really where we start to get to that expert system and how these tie together. This is not only SysView, this will be how our network and our storage and our security teams will all be working together so that we're making decisions and understanding that if there's a network port that's being hammered, to reach out to our security team to understand if that's normal in this time frame or something abnormal is occurring so that we can then start to investigate and look at see if we're under a security attack. That is just an example, a use case, something that we are looking forward to, but really taking the intelligence of the data that we're letting a lot of the data do the work for us, the intelligence of the people that interact with the system and remediate those issues, and bringing those pieces together to really provide dynamic information back to a user so they can make a decision quickly, they can automate a decision if possible, and they can actually ensure that the investment they're making in their products and the investment that they're making in new people all of that is productive, efficient, and actually providing value in a much faster time. So, any questions? Right now, the next session we have is on July 13th. It will be a demo of our new web-based UI for SysView. I've kind of reviewed where we are with the analytics. Phase 1, as I said, is our anomaly detection. We're POCing that today. We have a hosted environment. If you'd like to participate, please reach out to us. We'd most definitely like to have you engaged in that. We have then had the capability for you to put it on site. Those type of things in conjunction with our new web UI will be released as a solution sometime in the fourth quarter of calendar year 16. We then have that next step and would be interested in talking to you about use cases around business service management and looking at things across topology and how analytics can make my decision-making easier and automated in fashion. And then really looking at that prescriptive and predictive environment where we actually are providing, here's what's going to happen, here's the things you did in the past, is this what you want to do, and automating that as much as possible as well. So we have a vision. I hope to hear from you to see if there's agreement or disagreement. Feedback in either direction would is much wanted. Please reach out to us and let us know of anything that you may want to specifically discuss. Are there any questions for me? I think there's a question in the Q&A panel at the bottom. If you are interested in this, please reach out. We'll talk about, there are some deployment items here. We have discussed the usability of some less expensive technology, x86 Linux, Linux on Z, those type of environments is where we're starting. We will be looking at also looking at how we can just deliver this as much of a black box capability for the users, so their interaction with those type of environments, if they're not as familiar with it, is limited. So we'd like to hear feedback on that type of requirement as well. I thank everybody for your time. You know, we're here to listen, ask questions as we're going through this. We're validating with our customers. If you'd like to be involved in those discussions, please let us know, and we'd be more than happy to include you guys in any discussions we have in relation to any of the pieces you've seen here, whether it's our new browser interface, our analytics capabilities, our deployment capabilities. Any of those type things are going to make your job easier, we want to know about. So I appreciate everyone's time. I do not see any questions.
JD, I'd like to make another plug. Just tell folks that if you do have thoughts, questions, ideas, use the community site where these tech talks are being hosted to start a dialogue and ask questions and encourage your peers to come out there, because that's a forum that's intended for you to be able to provide feedback, ask questions, submit ideas. So we encourage you to do that as well. Between the tech talks that we're having, and if you wanted to do some follow-up with JD or any of his team, that's a good place to try to make some of that happen as well.
Definitely, good item there, Cindy, definitely on that. Like I said, July 13th is the next one. We're going to be doing the SysView web-based interface. We also will be hosting a virtual summit on July 12th, July 20th, right? Or is it the 21st, Cindy?
20th.
It's the 20th, which is like a virtual trade show capabilities. You'll probably see some of the same information included up there, but, you know, I'm just poking that out there. There are other solutions going to be talking about things. We'll be talking about analytics. There'll be some real-time efforts going on and presentations coming out of our Manhattan office with customers, so I do encourage you to engage and listen to what people are saying around the mainframe in general. And not to forget, everybody, CA World is in November. We are hosting a lot more pre-conference sessions this year than in the last 2 years, so we'll be going back to a similar conference we've had in the past, not as aggressive, as extensive, but we do have, I don't know how many hours of actual pre-con education type interaction elements that are going on, as well as the specific CA speakers and things that are going to be happening as well. So please take a look at that. You can see that out on ca.com. All right, guys, I thank everybody for their time. Everybody have a good afternoon, good day, and, you know, keep in touch. If anybody's got any questions, please reach out. Thank you.
Thanks, JD.
Yeah,
Thanks, everybody, for joining us.